Welcome to Philadelphia, Herschel Walker. Cunningham backpedal. He's floating it for the end zone for Barnett. Makes it happen for a touchdown. Cunningham takes the deep fire. Down the field. 25-20. He's going to go. Third down. He goes to the quarterback ball. He's down. He's got a one-touchdown. You better believe there are a lot of nervous stomachs in this stadium right now. Takes the snap. He's back. He's looking. He steps up. He's going to run. He's the 40. 40. Right to the outside. 20. Down to 19 goes Michael Vick. And that will take us to the 2-minute warning. Hang on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. This is something special. 1:40 to go in regulation. And the Eagles make it all the way back. It is second down and 3. A minute and 28. The ball at the Giants' 12. Vick in the gun. He's back. He looks. He fires. Complete. It is to the back of the first and short. That's the short for the touchdown. Michael Vick on the play. Number 2. He ran away on the two. All the zeros were off the clock. And the Giants fans can't believe it. And the Eagles have just pulled off the most remarkable win I have ever seen.
You're listening to the Eagle Eye Focus Sports Talk podcast with me, your host, Louis D. Yeah, the Eagles defeated the New York Giants last week, which puts the Eagles at a 2-3 record, still under 500. But guess what, Eagles fans? First place in the division. The Cowboys lost to the Denver Broncos. 99-point night. Tony Romo does what Tony Romo does. I'm not going to talk about it anymore about that, but Michael Vick pulled a hamstring. Nick Foles comes in beautifully, throws 2 touchdowns to win the game for the Eagles, 36-22. The defense had 3 takeaways and had 17 points off of those takeaways. A great performance by everybody, combined effort, and they're going to need that again this week against a winless team again against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Mike Glennon starting now for a second week in a row, but a team that has been in every game and has no shortage of weapons and will be looking to bounce back and get their season moving against an Eagles team that has some weaknesses that we're going to talk about a little bit on this podcast. We're going to preview, again, this is the preview of the Eagles versus the Buccaneers Sunday showdown in Tampa Bay. The Eagles really need this win as Washington faces Dallas on Sunday Night Football. So one of them can gain an extra step and stay right there with the Eagles. I think, too, really mainly, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the quarterback position. If Vick cannot go, he fully practiced today, which is Friday, October 11, 2013. If he practiced fully, but with his hamstring, if he is not good to go, he's questionable. Nick Foles will get the nod for the second week in his first full starting gig this week. If Nick Foles does good and the Eagles pull it out and go to 3-3, what's going to happen? Is there going to be a QB controversy on Chip Kelly's hands? And I don't think so, based on even if he plays good. I think he'd have to wow Chip Kelly to not put in Michael Vick, who has thrived in this offense and just fits it so much better and how electric he can be, and especially for the run game. LeSean McCoy had around, I believe it was 49 yards rushing with Michael Vick, who Michael Vick had 74 rushing yards before getting hurt in that first half, pulling out that miraculous 34-yard run to get that first down off a 3rd and 17. And then with Nick Foles in, the running game had only -2 yards rushing. So definitely, but in the passing game there was no shortage of electricity. Deshaun Jackson had a great fade touchdown thrown beautifully by Nick Foles, as well as Brent Selk had a big time touchdown. So I mean, they're going to be able to throw the football, but this week against Darrelle Revis and that Deshaun Goldson and that tough secondary, who are they going to get to the ball to? I mean, Deshaun Jackson says Revis can't run with him, but he might not even be able to get to run because Revis is going to be bumping him on the line. And Deshaun Jackson's not my concern, though. I think he'll be productive. It's just when Revis is having a great day on Deshaun, say he does, which I think it's going to be pure matchup based. I don't think Revis will just cover the left. I think he'll be following Deshaun all over the field. What's it going to be like when Riley Cooper can't get off the line of scrimmage again. And I appreciate all Eagles analysts, don't get me wrong, but Eagles analyst, PhiladelphiaEagles.com, Dave Spadaro defends Riley Cooper far too much. He says, yes, he's a good possession receiver. He has 94 yards this season, only 8 catches and a touchdown, and was targeted once last week, which he probably should have had a touchdown. Nick Foles overthrew it. So, I mean, there you can make that argument, but he just doesn't look. I mean, he's losing snaps to Jeff Mayo, which just says a lot. I mean, Jeff Mayo's snaps have been improving over the past couple weeks. It's gone from I believe it was 5 in San Diego to 15 in Denver, and then to 20 last week. So I mean, he's coming in. For some reason they just do not put Demaris Johnson at receiver, and a lot of the Chip Kelly's things that we thought he was going to do, honestly, he's not done. James Casey has been out, probably taken I think 3 to 5 offensive snaps. He's clearly not involved, and they paid him a lot of money to not be, which really confuses me on that part of the aspect of the offense. But they're still using. They got so heavily involved against New York against a mismatch of markers in those struggling Giants linebackers, which is why they went out and got John Beason. Well, guess what? They lost Thursday night to the Chicago Bears and are now 0-6. Want to know for my pick'em, by the way? Let's just remain that's undefeated. And I also beat my colleague on NFL Experts, Dave, in that wager, in a wager there. But let's talk about some Eagles football. I think it's going to be key to get LeSean McCoy going early and often. That's probably going to be the strong point of the offense. But Gerald McCoy, and they got some fast linebackers, are going to be coming. I mean, this is a great defense. I expect this game to be a low-scoring one if Nick Foles is starting. But Nick Foles beat this team last year, but they're a much better team. Are they a much better team? I think that on paper they're a much better team. So I don't want to go into the aspect of if they are. I'm not going to compare and contrast, but they need somebody else to step up. Selleck or Zach Ertz, who's slowly been getting more and more involved. He's had a couple good games, but just not enough receptions. I think his top was against San Diego when he had 56 yards. He only had 3 receptions still, so the ball's still not going his way a whole lot. It's mainly all been Deshaun Jackson. I mean, can you imagine if Jeremy Maclin was healthy, how electric this offense would be? I mean, I think that, yes, the defense has been holding him back a little bit, but I think the struggle to find that number 2 guy has also been a major part of it. Jason Avant really has been mostly a slot guy throughout his career, and he's been very productive, but this year, again, he's struggled really a lot too. He had 2 drops last week, and he had the one game in Thursday night against Kansas City where he had 87 yards and a touchdown, which was his Big Ten game. But looked for him, I mean, to maybe find the only mismatch in that secondary against probably a young Jonathan Banks. I'm sure he'll probably go up against him, or one of the weaker corners if they're not even really weak. But I think that they need that, and that's why I really want Michael Vick playing, because they're going to need that read option, pass option to keep this Buccaneers defense on their heels, and not just, I mean, go for McCoy and take out Deshaun. But I think what also a key to stop slowing down, to speeding up the scoring on this Buccaneers defense is if they're going to play press man, which they probably will on Deshaun Jackson, get a couple deep passes and they'll start playing off again. They're not going to let you beat deep, which is what the Eagles have been doing pretty much the whole year. They've been playing contained defense off coverage with Fletcher and Kerry Williams and Boykin, and I think it's paid off so far. I think the defense is slowly improving. Last week, Kerry Williams had an interception, Brandon Boykin as well as Kendricks. Boykin and Williams both have 2 interceptions each. And Bradley Fletcher, I think, has played very underrated football. He's been holding his own, really. He only let up one big touchdown, which was against Demaryius Thomas in that Broncos game. But I like to forget that Broncos game, as I predicted the Eagles to win that game on the blog. Do not go check out that article, but you can go check every other article on eaglesportstalk.blogspot.com. But as defensively, I think the pass rush got much better. They really made Eli uncomfortable, even though they did not have a sack. They did very well in that aspect of the game. They took out the running game later in the game. And they made Eli Manning uncomfortable. That's what they got to do with Glenn, the rookie, make him force throws, which is going to create turnovers, which leads to points. And that's the key to, if you're not going to have a stellar defense, then at least get turnovers. That'll make up for the difference. And that's kind of like, so I like to compare them to the New England Patriots defense last year and the past couple of years. Is they, other than this year, because this year they've been playing terrific football, but they haven't been one of the best defenses, but they get turnovers, and that's what generates more and more points with Tom Brady. If you get the ball back to Tom Brady in good field position, you know what's going to happen. Same with this Eagles team. If you can get the ball back, they're going to outscore them. As for the linebackers go, I thought Kendricks played good football. He leads the league in forced fumbles, so I guess that's a good sign for him. He's had a up and down season so far. D'Amico Ryans is playing steady football. Um, again, I'm seeing strides from the corners. I don't really think it's the corners that have been the problem. I think it's been the safeties. I think it's just been a combined effort, just getting everything in gel. And I believe Billy Davis, when he says it hasn't shown on tape, and on obviously a 52-point performance for the Broncos, and some pretty bad games so far defensively, but they're making strides and they're starting to gel. And I believe Billy Davis when he says that. This defense kind of reminds me of the 2011 one, where they do enough to get the win, even though they only have 2 wins. So I probably shouldn't speculate that already. But for the safety play, I think Earl Wolf still has a ways to go. He's a rookie, but I mean you've seen that he can tackle and he's out there making plays. But again, sometimes he looks lost out there. And Nate Allen, I think, has improved his play over the past couple games. And Patrick Chung is still injured. They're going to take a close look at him this week, as he is questionable for the game against Tampa Bay. Even though he really struggled, so honestly, I don't feel that we should rush him, and I think we should double check how if Wolf and Earl Allen have another steady game and the Eagles win this football game. I think we should stick with what we have and try not to change too much. I think change isn't really a good thing for this defense right now. I think when people say, I mean, that the Eagles are not generating enough sacks, I think it's because of the scheme through the 3-4 base. Trent Cole and Connor Barwin as the outside linebackers and Brandon Graham. I don't really think that they're not getting the. I think that they're just dropping back in coverage more. Connor Barwin did that great in Houston when he was over there, and I think he's been playing pretty good football so far in the same aspect so far. As for special teams, though, I don't understand why Deshaun Jackson isn't punt returning. I feel that, I mean, he's electric in that area, and he hasn't taken one since against the Giants on Sunday Night Football 2 in the Dream Team season. I hated that season. I'm sorry, but that was pretty bad. But I mean, Demaris Johnson's been pretty good. Alex Smith had 5 field goals made out of 5. He's out of that whole slump everybody's talking about. His beginning of the year slump. He's out of that. And I think the Eagles' special teams kick return coverage, I think, has been terrific. Other than the game against Kansas City, I thought they've been very good. I thought the whole special teams has played great so far this season. Kick returning, they're averaging many more yards than they had the past 2 years under Bobby April. So, as for Tampa Bay, what the Eagles need to do to stop the Buccaneers is definitely take out Doug Martin in the running game. I think the key to that is getting Fletcher Cox and Cedric Thornton to keep playing the way they are, and also, and then getting Trent Cole more involved in the pass rush and go make Mike Glennon uncomfortable, which leads to turnovers. Can't stress that enough how important that is for this Eagles football team to get a much-needed W against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll give my prediction for this game. I think the final score is going to be. I mean, it's interesting to see because the difference is if Michael Vick or Nick Foles starts, that could alter it. But just in general, I'm gonna say whichever one plays, I'm gonna predict a final score 21-17 Eagles. Lower scoring game from a very good Buccaneers defense. I think the Eagles defense is gonna show up big time. But they gotta take out those 2 receivers, and the Buccaneers have a good football team. Don't be surprised if they come in there. I mean, come back at home into Tampa Bay, come off a bye, and give the Eagles some trouble. So just be prepared for that. I already am. This team is progressing, but at 2-3, we still Enjoy this while you can. Not hinting at that we're going to tank, but we have a favorable schedule coming up, and we're remain in first place in the division. And a good sign is that we're 2-0 in the division, so we're getting those much-needed wins that are going to help us uh, come the end of the season if we're still in the mix for the division win. So, again, I'll predict 21-17 Eagles, and that's going to do it for today's Eagle Eye Focus Sports Talk podcast, previewing the Week 6 showdown with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Thanks for joining me. Follow me on Twitter at DB Sports Talk for all your Eagles updates. Go to my blog at eaglesportstalk.blogspot.com. Also, go to our website, all32access.weebly.com, adding a new team, the San Francisco 49ers blog, and also adding a new 2 new features to the thing. We have live NFL games now on the website, and also NFL Game Rewind for free. Yes, free. Go check it out at all32access.weebly.com on Monday. We will have that up for you guys, and so thanks for joining us again. Go Birds! Need a W this week. We'll see you later, and again, yeah, go Birds!